Hey rat bags, it's Jade. I'm back today with another ultimate guide. This time it's the Moldorc Highlands and Moldorc Castle. I'm going to show you every secret, every milk molar, raw science, mega milk, scab, and a little brief synopsis of the creatures that you'll encounter and how best to deal with them, including of course the boss battle inside Moldorc Castle itself. This is how you get the Sour Battle Axe, the Orc Disruptor Bombs, and of course being able to craft the supreme parts you need to carry on upgrading your weapons and armour as much as you want. So let's go. By now I'm sure you guys know this is where you can find a Black Widow lair as well as lots of Black Widowlings, plus plenty of ticks. This is the main place that you'll come to get them, and of course tiger mosquitoes guarding the actual castle itself. Not to mention also the spiny water fleas. There are still ladybirds around here too, and of course black ox beetles. And I nearly forgot about the humble little moth. Now this is endgame content. You're not meant to be doing this until you've completed pretty much everything and you've gone and explored the undershed and everything else. In fact, you can't get to the final boss until you've gone and completed the undershed. But if you were taking a little browse, you might want to think about bringing a few things. Lots of tufts of grass with you, obviously. Some bricks, mushroom bricks, at least enough to build at least one half wall, and certainly some pieces to build maybe one bouncer. Of course you will need a tier 3 hammer as well as an axe. There's quite a bit of jumping and running around, so I recommend bringing your aphid boots and unlocking Natural Explorer. And finally a tier 3 dagger if you manage to kill enough Black Widows. Failing that, bring a bone dagger or a decent spear, maybe even the trident, to take on some of the water fleas underneath, the spiny ones. But if you play it right, you hopefully won't have to encounter them too much. Easiest way to get up there is by taking the tunnel up to the hedge laboratory, and then you can actually parkour your way up the grass stalks. Be warned, the tiger mosquitoes often are just around Moldorc Castle itself, but they can actually venture a bit more to the south, so you might find them around the lower flower bed. Now before you get up to the main area, the Upper Highlands, make sure you go and get this gold milk molar right here. And you should find some smaller deposits of raw science once you've taken care of any of the ore weavers that also dominate around here, especially the one inside the water here as well. And on the way out you should also find a upgrade rock level 1. Maybe technically part of the hedge or the grasslands, but I thought I'd show it anyway. Anyhow, let's climb upside these grass stalks, and you should just be able to get onto this rock right on this one. This is the easiest and quickest way to get up. So once up, you only have to really worry about the ticks so far unless you go looking for the Black Widow lair. Make sure you jump on the rock directly in front of you when you get up here to go and get the sour. They normally respawn here, and there's a few locations that you'll actually find the sour sweets. On the left hand side of the flower bed facing towards Moldorc Castle you'll find another one, and here it is on the map. These should respawn after a couple of days. Now the ticks, they are no joke. If you get a swarm of them, they can really munch into your health, as you can see here, just showing you how much damage it does. They're weak to spicy, but they're resistant against busting, fresh and salty. To be honest, I wouldn't go out of your way to bring a weapon specifically for them unless you're really farming the materials for their sword. That sword of course is called the Tick Fang. A really good weapon, particularly if you've got ladybug armour and going for lifesteal build. There are ticks that you find in the stump, but I think this is one of the maybe easier places to come and farm them. Keep heading towards Moldorc Castle and you should come across more ticks, and this is where you'll find the ladybird normally here, just inside this water inlet. It's meant to be a water feature that runs down, and we're going to go up here and go and get ourselves a bunch of rust. But first let's carry on exploring the rest of the outside areas, especially this science pod. And this is where you're going to find the black ox beetle. Now, top tip, if you can have the bravery to do it and maybe the speed, you want to lure the black ox beetle as close as you can back around towards the hedge, and this is where you're going to find the Black Widow cave. You can actually get these guys to fight. If you fire an arrow off, you should be able to get it to come outside, and it should chase you more or less. And then you just got to get in the way, and hopefully these two will start aggravating. It will help you definitely if you're still struggling somehow to kill the Black Widows. They are tough, but at this stage you probably have tried taking on a bunch of them. But yeah, they will fight each other. Focus on helping the Black Ox Beetle take on the Black Widow. Get yourself in a high vantage point and start peppering down lots of arrows maybe. The beetle really won't last that long, but it certainly should take a good chunk of health from the Black Widow, and hopefully then you can start moving in and finish the job. Be warned, the Black Widow does normally summon some of its spiderlings along, so that might complicate things a little bit more. I've done some more detailed videos taking a look at these guys, showing you how I killed all 4 of them on the map in one day. They are of course resistant pretty much to everything, although they're only 25% resistant to stabbing tools or weapons rather than 50% to everything else. Honestly, it's just about making sure you've got enough heals. Mithridism still unlocked to level 3 to negate some of the poison effects, and yes, ultimately a tier 3 armour, and just making sure you've got a decent shield as well. Once it's defeated, you can go and explore its lair. Inside you'll find a gold milk molar and one of the spawn locations for the toenails, which is pretty rare. Don't forget to also take care of the egg sacs, as that's a great way to get Black Ox horns, and also make sure you get the tier 1 marble that's just outside the entrance. Once that's all done, we're going to head back to where we saw that ladybird, round just directly opposite Moldorc's castle, and climb way up to this metal grate, and you'll find plenty of rust. Turn back round, and on the right hand side you should see a little gap and this twig. This leads to 2 more Black Ox beetles and another milk molar. So when you combine it with the egg sacs and the chance of getting a Black Ox horn there, this is one of the best places to come and farm such a short amount of space, so many of them. Once they're defeated, grab the milk molar and you can get out of here. Go along to the front where you see some plants, and this time we're going to try and clamber on top of the rock pile. It's actually pretty tough to get onto. You might have to either do some building or get good at parkour and jump up all of these leaves. Head to the right hand side of it though this time, and we're going to go and jump on these big flat ones as well. If you time it right, you should be able to get onto this middle stalk, and that's one of the quickest ways to get up on top of this rock. We're going to be aiming to go and get some supreme marble as well as 500 raw science by climbing up here. Go across the narrow twig bridge and go around the rock before you actually start climbing anymore, and you should see eventually the supreme rock once you jump on top of this rock here, and then just go around this side here. Here it is on the map. So back to where the leaves were and jump on top of this one. Look out for the little gap below, because you can actually fall down and have to restart your climb, and you should be on top. It's a nice place to build a big imposing castle, but there really isn't a lot else going on here. So once you've got this side done, it's time to move on the opposite side of the castle. You might want to take out ladybird if you really want, and look out also for ladybird larvae that line the way against the fence. This is probably the easiest way to get to the other side of the Highlands. You should come across a donut and another Black Ox spawn next to this juice carton, and of course even more ladybird spawns. The large rock that's here, I think this is a good place for a base in the upper Highlands or the upper yard, as it gives you access to the final battle as well as pretty close to the stump and all the resources you will need. You've also got the 3 berry bushes here as well for added berry harvesting. With the fence and the wall to your right hand side all the way up to the fence post, you should come across the upper yard mixer, probably the toughest one in the game. I've got a separate guide for that coming out soon. But you will have to deal with lots of ticks, tiger mosquitoes, as well as a green shield bug. So you will need to cover the top of it to stop any of the flying creatures getting at it. It's a great spot to get berries, and plenty of pop caps also line around this area too. But the bush closest to the super mixer, you will find a mega milk in the branches. You can use your camera to take a peek, and it's just at the top one. But how do you get up there? Well, if you go around the corner to the other side, you can climb up the grass stalk, and then you can make your way and jump on top of some of these branches here. Just be warned though that I am wearing my aphid slippers, so I can jump a little bit quicker and faster, so you might need to bring them along with you, or just bring some mushroom walls and build yourself way up here. Then just clamber up the actual branches, and you should eventually get to the milk molar at the top. Then we've got to move on to the next one, where we're going to go and get some candy. Now you can find ladybird spawns here, as well as a wolf spider, and also warning that when you've plugged the haze, this area in particular becomes infected. So you will have the infected ladybird larvae as well as an infected wolf spider. But first, if we jump up onto this broadleaf plant and onto these, you'll get another sour spawn. And this is also how you get onto the second berry bush, where you'll find another sour spawn. You can see it there on the branches. So you should be able to jump through and then just work your way around them. If you keep heading up the actual branches, you will get on top of the paper aeroplane. Sadly, there was nothing really up here. There's no bonus, there's no scab, it's just a paper aeroplane in the bush. So the third bush has some raw science inside. You can see up here on the branch. This one's a bit of a tougher one to get up. I couldn't find a way that you could do without building. So some ladders might be your best bet, and then hopefully you can get onto the branches to go get it. And that's pretty much it for this one. Just beneath it, if you're heading back towards the posts and the shed area, you'll find the exposed pipe, which has got some supreme marble. And if you follow the pipe all the way down, you'll eventually come to some sturdy quartzite and the Christie doll car. Again, technically this isn't in the upper Highlands, it's part of just the upper yard, but I still figure it's worth showing you. There is a gold milk molar in here and plenty of candies. So that's all the upper areas around the castle. Now let's explore the actual pond itself and the castle. So you want to head round to the back of the castle towards where the plants here, and we're going to get on these plants using tufts to jump across. Now you might want to try and thin out some of the mosquitoes in and around the area, as it does become an absolute pain trying to get into the castle with these guys. Weak to chopping, fresh and slashing, and resistant to busting. So a good idea to use something like a fresh axe, or go ahead and use a fresh dagger. So one of the best things, as I mentioned at the start, is you can get on here without needing to build, as long as you've got a couple tufts of grass with you and you don't mind doing a little bit of parkour up and under. So you're going to land on this rock especially, and then I'm going to try not to cut it so you can see exactly what I'm going to be doing. We're going to be going around this side, so we've got the fallen pagoda on our right, and you're going to crouch and get underneath the actual castle itself. You can then go ahead and jump across this gap here, and then keep swinging all the way around. You should be able to go through this smaller gap, and then you will have to probably jump on the rock down below, as it's pretty tough to get on top of that bit. But don't worry, there's a few smaller rocks that you can now get back on top of, and we're going to swing all the way around as there's a huge pile of supreme quartzite. Now you're pretty safe from the mosquitoes underneath here as well, so just an FYI, they don't normally get you, or if they really swing under, you should be able to get them pretty easily, as they won't be able to fly away. Keep going around, and there you go, you've got 2 supreme rocks and 2 sturdy. Now you might be worried about them dropping down, but as long as you're paying attention, only hitting one at a time, you should be able to pick up the rocks before they fall down the crevice. Once you've gathered them, you're going to head exactly the way back. That's important, otherwise you won't be able to get on top of the castle. You're going to have to drop down, go back up to the grass and come all the way back up. Like I said, I'm showing you some of the mosquitoes here that did get aggroed. I should be able to take care of them pretty much with an arrow or 2, as long as you've got better aim than me. Once that's done, hop on top of this rock, jump on top of here. Now it is again pretty tough to do, but you should be able to do it. And again, this is super important that you make it, so do exactly what I'm doing, get on top of this rock and then crouch down. You then need to drop on this tiny little ledge here, then crouch and aim for the lip, but making sure you're still on the rock. With a little bit of shimmying, you should be able to get on the other side, hopefully not get attacked by too many mosquitoes. You'll realise you're right in front of the castle entrance mouth, and right now all you need to do once you defeat these mosquitoes is put a half wall of mushroom bricks down, and you'll be able to get into Moldorc's castle without pretty much any building. Inside his mouth, of course, we've got the entrance to the under layer. That's where we're going to be facing off against the final boss, and obviously though we're going to finish climbing up the tower to get all the rest of the goodies. There's plenty of pop caps here as well. And yes, I am going to show you the boss fight. Again, it's going to be towards the end though, just in case you don't want any spoilers. Just for fun, you can go ahead and use your hammer and play lots of the sounds that come out from the castle by hitting the button as you climb up the stairs. There's another pop cap to the right hand side here. And don't forget to go in the mezzanine part just on this plastic here to pick up some more raw science. If you keep climbing up, you will notice if you use camera mode, there's some more raw science just opposite this skull. Now in the previous version there was some upgrade rocks placed somewhere along here as well, but it looks like they moved them underneath the castle to that last lot I showed you. So if you watched the super early guide on this once before, that might be why some rocks have appeared in them videos and why they're not here now. This is the most up-to-date version. So you can get that raw science and get back up to the castle, just tuft your way down. And keeping the wall on the right hand side, jump on top of this part here. And this one is a bit of a tough one, but you need to jump on that tiny little outcropping that's sticking out here. It can be difficult, so make sure you save your game if you do want to reload. And then you should just about be able to jump over and get on top of this lob here. Keep climbing up and you'll be able to eventually get back onto the stairway. All the way to the top, and you've got the Moldorc scab. Then turn around, jump on these bumps, and you're on top of the castle itself. You should find a couple of mosquitoes around here, as well as obviously a moth right on top of the light fixture. So you can go and fight it and aggro it with an arrow, and it should come down to fight you if you're looking for more moth parts. So the weak against fresh, spicy and sour, and resistant against busting, slashing and salty. Your best bet of course is something from the range class, especially with the new update adding the ability to block with your bows. Now I didn't use any footage from that one there because I decided to get the guide done quickly and really just focusing on stuff. But I did pull up my first encounter with it, and yeah, it's got 3 pretty devastating attacks. A swooping dive, and then 2 other attacks that inflict a kind of bleed or poison damage, so it will reduce your health over time unless you bandage or heal up. In reality, you could use anything to kill this guy, whatever you feel most comfortable with. Again, I wouldn't bring something specifically for it, but all of the staves, they all obviously have the elemental strengths against it too. But one of the crossbows is probably your best bet, either really upgraded tier 2 or the Black Ox crossbow. Your termite armor or your toxicology badge should also keep you protected against some of that dust. And of course eventually kill enough and you'll be able to get the moth robe armor set, which is great for ranged and of course magic builds. So make sure you kill any mosquitoes though before taking it on, and then go and get the milk molar. So you hop on the green parts just overlooking the pagoda, and make sure again you've got a decent tuft. You should be able to now glide in top of the cage and get the mega milk molar that's down there. Once you've got this, you can then simply glide down to the mouth again and go actually inside the castle, as that is everything completed in Moldorc's castle. So there's just a few bits more to show you guys. You can, like I said, jump into the mouth of the castle and then go and take on the boss, and that's what I would do. And then on your way, when you're making your escape, that's when you can go and get some extra loot that's inside the wall of the pond. So I'm going to show you that. That's what I would actually get after you've taken on the boss though. So drop down and go around the right hand side without going into the water just yet. Jump on top of this rock and then you should find a sour wormhole just here. And from this point you're safe to jump in the water. Of course it's got the moss that you can only get with a Black Widow dagger, unless you do manage to get a whole ton of the actual spiny water fleas, which have like a 1% chance of dropping some. These guys are of course weak to stabbing and sour, so you might want to make sure you've got a trident with maybe some sour on. But otherwise just a really good high level spear like the rusty spear will do fine. You don't do as much damage with any of the other spears. In fact it's only the trident that does the most damage, I do believe. And then it is resistant against chopping and fresh. I'm kind of surprised it's not weak against maybe slashing, so you could use your dagger as well, since that's what you'll be using to get the moss. Kind of a shame there's no actual special weapon using these. When you kill them you only just get regular water flea meat. They are absolutely ferocious though, so don't spend too long in the water as they'll all come hunting you down, and you can pretty much swim round. I don't really think I found anything of real use in the water, unless there's something I've missed. No science points, no scab. In fact it was a bit disappointing there wasn't at least one little secret in the water. You will find a doorway. This is the doorway that you'll come out of once you've defeated the boss inside the castle, and then you can pretty much clamber around the sides and get up this way here. This is how you can get out of the pond. There's another way where there's some sort of gravel and a few sticks that will lead you up as well. This is pretty much on the opposite end of the pond, and there's another sour sweet location here as well. But this way will take you closer to the bonus loot that we're going to get. Head across the branch, taking the right turn here, and you can see we've got the slabs close to each other, and this will bring you back to where you saw the Black Ox beetle and the juice carton earlier. Follow the paving slabs all the way around past the pagoda. The reason I'm showing you this now instead of earlier is because once you're in this small area you can't actually get back up unless you've bought a lot more building materials with you. You'll come to where you can see the more mossy parts of the stones, and this is where we're close to it now. Just go along, and on the left hand side you'll see a small little hole, and this will take you to a milk molar plus a new scab which is called porridge. So like I said, if you drop down here you won't be able to get back up as it's too tall, so you might need to build some ladders. And now that the game is going to be 100% refunding your building materials, you'd probably get away with using some mushroom walls to get up and down here. But the easiest thing to do is bring enough materials to make a bouncer. It's a bit difficult, but there is a place that you can actually place it, and this should get you up to the top eventually. Otherwise you can just drop down into the larger pond near the pagoda. And that's it, you're pretty much done. You can literally just leave and get out of this complete area. But as promised, I'm going to show you guys now the boss inside Castle Moldorc. So turn the video off if you don't want any spoilers. So again, I'm using footage from my Let's Play. You can drop down the hole and eventually you'll drop all the way down. That's why you need another tuft to cushion the fall. This is where Wendell's going to turn up and get pretty much burgled to open up the doorway. There's one last milk molar to get just around the corner of the entrance. Once inside, you've got plenty of orc receivers, so you can make the traps, which you'll be able to craft once you defeat the boss in here. Then you've got a chest with a whole ton of upgrade materials. You'll have to deal with one of the orc ants just inside the corridor, and keep going along, and eventually you'll end up in the main chamber where you're going to fight Schmector, the overseer, the watcher, the guy that's been making Wendell's life a misery and put you inside the backyard as such a small little creature. So in my opinion, you're better off bringing a busting tool. Obviously tier 3 would be good, and put in as much of the sour element on it as possible. Max upgrade to 9 if you can. Also bring maybe the spicy Cortana to take care of the Orb Weaver Juniors. Schmector is resistant against fresh and spicy, more so spicy, so don't use any kind of spicy weapon on him at all. He'll take 25% more damage with sour compared to anything else, and actually 25% less damage using fresh and 50% less damage using spicy. A busting tool is going to do 25% more damage, whereas the worst tools to use are things like chopping, explosions, generic or stabbing. If you really must, a slashing weapon might be okay, as that's only 25% less effective compared to the rest, which are 50%. So if you're not really keen on using a hammer as a full weapon for this, maybe a dagger or a sword, but make sure it's got sour on it. Whenever you see Schmector do his orange attack, that's when he's going to summon some of the Orb Weaver Juniors. They can do the poison damage on you as well, so look out for that. But again, spicy damage weapons against them are the best. They will keep spawning though, so don't think that you can just kill a few of them and then get back to Schmector. Every time he does his orange attack, that's when they're going to be more of them spawning. The blue static charge that comes from the turrets as well as his gun, that can do huge amount of damage to you, but mostly it also reduces your stamina regen. My best advice is to stay on the side underneath the TV monitor. Sometimes you can get stuck there sometimes if you're not blocking the shots enough, but it's probably one of the better spots. Towards the end, there's even more lasers that will pop out and it gets really tough. But as long as you're either here or near the doorway, you should be a bit better equipped to deal with them. I prefer this corner myself. So you absolutely will need one of the later game shields like the Ladybird or the Fire Ant shield. Equip Mithridism just in case you do get bit by any of the spiders. And focus on the spiders as soon as they spawn in case any more come along, as you don't want them stacking up and hurting you with their poison. Right when he's about to die at the very end, he gets even more stronger and summons even more enemies. So you might want to just go mad at it and hopefully you've got enough healing potions to deal with him. Just like the assistant manager, whenever he's doing his dance, he's about to release a static charge, so make sure you're away from him or you're blocking at least to minimise some of the damage. Now Wendell is meant to help you out a little bit in this boss battle, but sometimes he does disappear, or sometimes his balls might actually hit you and knock you over. So yeah, it might be a good thing to actually tell him to wait outside. It really does get crazy, and there's no respawn point close to this guy, so you will have to jump across all of Moldorc Castle again to get inside him if you haven't put a lean-to down, so make sure you've got enough resources to build one fairly close to the mouth entrance. Keep waiting on him and eventually you'll get him. Be on the lookout though, once he's dead the static charges will still carry on, although the Orb Weavers, they should actually drop dead. You'll unlock the corporate kickback mutation, and of course you get access, as I said, to the supreme quartzite and supreme marble making now out of bug parts. There's also maybe a glimpse at the future with the humongous. Is that going to be a new boss added to the game in some way or form in expansion or DLC? And yeah, you get the Orc Disruption Bomb and of course the Sour Battle Axe unlocked as well. My opinion, one of the best weapons in the game. Don't forget to peep him when you first encounter him, otherwise you might not actually get the gold. I've seen that happen before, but otherwise it's just a glitch. You should receive it every time you kill one. And that's it. Obviously you can't respawn this boss fight, so make sure you do it right the first time. To leave, you just climb up the branch outside the laboratory, and then you'll be out on the doorway that leads to the side of the pond. And this might be a good spot actually to put your lean-to if there's nowhere else to build inside the actual lab entrance. And there we go, that's the ultimate guide to Moldorc Castle, everything you need to know about taking on this area, the Highlands, and of course Schmector. Hope that's helpful. If it's been that way, make sure you leave a like, and I'll see you ratbags for more grounded guides in the future. Until next time ratbags, laters.